Yes. All right. We are so amped for this next episode. This is the final part. This is part 3 of the interview with Brad Gibb, and we go into some gold. He was throwing out gold on this one.
Yeah. So we talk about the core 4. The core 4 are these foundational financial principles that you run all decision making in terms of what you're going to invest in through these 4 foundational principles. And it gives you the best odds of the results that you're looking for. Number 2, we're going to be talking about the iceberg principle. You got to listen to know what that is. And number 3 is the 3 best places to invest your money. Let's dig in.
Okay. So what we aim to do is in this world of choice that we live in now, it's about what we are able to actually. Oh, we got a little feedback there.
Yeah. We're good.
It's about what we're actually able to focus on is where we get our results. So this is the principles we tried to line up. And this came from not just our own application over the last 10 years, becoming financial free ourselves. But I held this up, right? It's the hours we've studied with those that are financially free. And I've hung out with and studied multi-millionaires and looked at their patterns. Everybody, whether they consciously knew it or not, they were following the same set of patterns. And it was because my brain is programmed the way it was. I was programmed to see those patterns and kind of bring those to light and organize them. So first, we'll contrast it with what everyone else has taught. We all want good returns, right? But in order to get a high rate of return, your goldfish advisor would tell you you have to be willing to do what?
To invest.
Take more
risk. Yeah.
Risk, right? If you want a high return, you have to be willing to take high risk. This is the model that we're taught.
Yes, that's right.
Right? Okay. This is fundamentally not what the wealthy do. And a quick example of this is if you study Warren Buffett at all, which is arguably one of the greatest investors out there, his first rule of money is don't lose money. And his second rule of money is never forget rule number 1.
Right.
Doesn't that feel opposite to this right here of high risk, high return?
Yeah.
Okay. And I've never understood this high risk, high return because the definition of risk is your probability of losing money. So I have to somehow be convinced to have a higher probability of losing money in order to make money. Like it doesn't make sense. Okay. So what I started to learn and rework and understand is those that actually made the most amount of money were taking the smallest risks. But we had to define and understand risk. So before I show the core 4, of course, we're trying to increase. Oops, I wanted to draw a line. We want to increase 2 things and decrease 2 things. This is what we call the core 4, the 4 things that we look at. Well, 1, we need to get returns. Like that's clear. Like our money has to work for us. Okay. But I want to use this analogy. This will ring true for both of us. Biology was never my game in college. Like I took biology classes, thought it would be fun, exciting, and my brain is not wired to understand biology. So if you told me tomorrow that I have to perform brain surgery on somebody, like I would be freaking out. Like I would not be okay if I was forced at gunpoint to perform brain surgery, right? This would be a very, very risky thing. What about you guys?
Oh yeah.
Same thing. Like this would be a very risky thing if you were to get on my operating table. But does a brain surgeon wake up the morning before a surgery completely freaked out about what he's about to go do?
No.
He would not describe that as a risky thing. And it's because through education, time, knowledge, he has done 2 things. He has increased, like I would have no control over that environment of what's going on, right? But the brain surgeon does. And he has worked to take something that cutting somebody's head open is an inherently risky thing, but he has systematically reduced the risk involved in the activity that he's about to participate in. That is why we get a high enough return to be willing to cut our heads open and fix our brains. Mm-hmm. The return does not come from the risk. It comes from the elimination of risk inherent in everything that we do all the time.
Not just investing.
Not just investing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Think about like I'm sure on this, you talk about marketing and advertising to some extent, right? I run tens of thousands of dollars a month through Facebook. If you've never run a Facebook ad, it would be crazy risky to open up your account, run an ad, and drop 50 grand on it. Right? But you and I, when we're running Facebook ads, we're not like, oh, is this going to work? Oh my gosh, I can't, let's see. Right? It's not a gamble because we went through a process of education and processes to systematically lower the risk inherent in a Facebook ad so that I get a high return on it.
Yes.
Has that ever been has this conversation ever entered your mind when it came to investing?
No.
No. We were always told we have to be willing to take the risk, right? And there's reasons why that I've seen behind the curtain in Wall Street as to why. It's because Wall Street knows this rule. They don't take risks, so they just pile it on you. Okay? But the key to this is we have, in order to generate the returns that we want, we have to systematically increase the amount of control that we have and decrease the amount of risk that we take. And then the last one, the greatest destroyer of our wealth once we attain it, is how much we pay in tax. We have to systematically eliminate or reduce the amount of tax that we pay. So anytime you come to me with a good investment opportunity that's going to be the next opportunity that's going to make us millions and create financial freedom, because those exist, I'm going to look at it and say, all right, is there enough return to get me out of bed in the morning? Right? If not, I'm not interested. It's not worth my time. So it's not just will it make me money, it's will it make me enough money? And then when I'm promised all the millionaire dreams, overnight success, I'm going to look at it and say, how much control do I have over the outcome? How much risk do I have to take in obtaining that outcome? And then what do I have to pay in tax? If it fails those, which 99% of the investments you're provided with will fail that test, you get to just walk away and say, the return is not real. Because that's the only thing we're taught to focus on. Oh, but I can triple my money. Well, if I don't have control and I'm taking a lot of risk and I have to pay a lot of tax, no, I won't. And if I do, it's dumb, blind luck. Yeah. So we build a system that delivers consistent outcomes. But if I don't have control and I have a lot of risk, I can't build a system that delivers consistent outcome. We love the saying that, a blind squirrel bumps into a nut every now and again, right? There will be times and there will be idiots that made a lot of money on one bet that you'll look at it and say, how did that guy do that? Why am I not doing that? But it's a blind squirrel phenomenon.
Right.
And that's not a systematic way to create wealth.
That's an awesome description.
So let's run your 401k through the core four. First off, does it even have the potential to produce the returns necessary for financial freedom in 10 years or less?
No.
No, it doesn't. It's not even possible. No matter how, and that's the other, okay, hold on a second. This is the other biggest, worst part about a financial advisor. His goal is to help you be average. That's it. His job is to make sure that you get the average of what everybody else gets. Right?
Yeah. That's the core of his job is to make sure that you get what everyone else gets.
And as long as he's not losing to the average, he's good. Do you guys accept average anywhere in your life?
No. Oh my God.
Okay, so the returns are average, so I'm already not interested. How much control do you have over the outcomes?
Zero.
Yeah.
Well, you could go buy another iPhone 11 and maybe stimulate the economy, but that's about the extent.
Yeah.
Okay? How much risk do you take?
All of it.
Well, what do you mean? If your account gets in half, what happens to your financial advisor?
Nothing.
Nothing. You still pay him his fee. He still takes his percentage, and he takes his percentage whether you make money or not.
Yeah.
And then on the tax side of things, we won't go into that a lot, but you're only deferring the tax, and then you're ensuring that you pay the highest possible tax when it's taken out on the back end, because it's taxed as if you're an employee for the rest of your life, not the way investors and entrepreneurs get to tax. Because there's an entirely different tax code written for the entrepreneur or the investor, but it requires you to take control. So you stay in the employee tax bracket for Guys, there's not a mysterious retirement tax bracket that's lower than everybody else's. The only way you pay less tax in retirement is if you choose to retire poor and you make less money. And that's going along with this average. Your financial advisor is probably going to tell you, oh, no, like when you retire, you only need like 70% of your income because this, that. He's just conditioning you that you're going to retire poorer than you are now.
Yeah.
And that's why you're going to pay less tax. But if you don't want to retire poor, you're going to pay more tax if you use those vehicles.
Yeah.
So it fails all 4 of these, and I just move on. And I only participate in things that give me enough return to be worth it, increase my control, decrease my risk, decrease my tax.
So good. So if you're listening to this right now, if you're watching this on YouTube, and like when I first heard this and I saw this, it intuitively made sense, but it went against the grain of everything I had ever learned. And so my first reaction had to be just to be okay with like, okay, I understand it, but it makes sense conceptually, but I don't know, like for me, and it's just from yoga, like, okay, that's something to look at, right?
Yes.
When I get triggered that way, it's something to look at. So if you're hearing this and you're like, maybe you're fired up about it, you're like, that's ridiculous. And maybe because you've been invested for as long as you have, and what he's saying is maybe not the best investment for financial freedom. Again, understanding we're playing a different game that has a different outcome that gets you free sooner. It's important to take a deep breath, relax, and also just look at the emotion around it. Just look at it and maybe do some more homework around it to see if there is another potential, a different possibility. Because I know personally, and again, this isn't like a big pitch for Cashflow Tactics, but it is so important because of what it's doing for us in our lives. And we feel so passionate about it. We wanted to bring you on and have a conversation around everything we're learning to expose this new way of thinking, this new way of understanding finances to help free other people as well.
Well, and that's why we try to let go of tactics, right? Intentionally, because I can't do everybody's tax return. I can't help, I can't buy all of the real estate in all of the United States so that there's enough opportunity to come invest with me. Like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So the thing that I can do is I want to ignite a movement of people that are committed to the core 4 and the 4 pillars and velocity and leverage and understanding, like increasing their financial IQ. And so if I can lay the groundwork for that and lead that, then the rest of it is just fun and I'll do the amount that I want to, but that's what we're committed to is helping people realize there's another option that has never been presented.
Yeah, it's not talked about, and people tend to do what's easiest, and what's easiest is to give all your control away to some goldfish advisor to tell you how to do it and follow that path. And one of the big pieces that I want to just bring up is that it's with that old model, the plan is to retire in your 60s. Like when you have, it's like Chris has a great analogy. If someone were to come to you and say, well, why don't you wait to have sex till you're in your 60s? You're gonna be like,
No thanks.
Like what? And because this idea of retiring is like live out your free time when you're at the later stage of your life. And what how you guys reframe this, Brad, which is so like eye-opening to me, is like, no, do mini retirements your whole life. Like, don't wait till the end. Start setting yourself up to be financially free so that you can do mini retirements as you're moving through your life.
And not just mini retirements, but so that you can focus on the things in your life that create the most value for you, the way you want to live. Like for us, like it's our children, it's our wives, it's our passions. We love to surf, we love to be out in nature. And
so I'm looking at the calendar on the back of my door because I'm too like calendars, I hate them and I have to be visual. It's September that we're recording this. I've taken 10 week-long, whether it's a vacation or, I consider going to something like Steven's mastermind event and not a job, like relative to like the work that I do, right? 10 more than 1 or 2 days. So week-long or close to a week-long trips.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's balance to me. Not working all of the time and getting just enough in the 2 weeks that I'm given and then leaving it all at the end. It's intermixed. all the way through.
Yeah, and it's so important because that alone, like, is you throw in the face of this entrepreneurial idea to hustle and to grind, and it's going to be a struggle. Listen, I understand, like, just the idea of being an entrepreneur, it's a struggle. Like, we don't have to add any more, like, to that, but what's being provided is a vehicle that we can do what we love, have this purpose-driven life, and we continue to make change in people's lives without the financial noose of, am I gonna make it this month? Am I gonna make it next month? Please please don't have anything happen to anyone in my life that it's gonna cost me, any more than I have right now, because I don't have the money. And that freedom, it frees you. It means that money is important, but it's important because of what it gives you back in your life. That's the real value. Man, we could sit here and talk to you literally for the next 4.5 hours.
And I just love how much what we talk about and do about aligns. It's not, it isn't about the dollars. It's like, dude, like, there are things I could teach people that make so much money. I've seen it. I know how to do it. I know where the connections are. We could go do those things, but it doesn't make us more free. It doesn't make us more empowered, and it doesn't achieve our outcomes. And it's teaching the right process to get there, right? I'm gonna do one last diagram that I think will also help a lot of people deal with the cognitive dissonance that's now happening to them of saying, wait a minute, I've been told this, and now I'm seeing a totally opposite point of view, and my brain's gonna break. We call it the iceberg principle, right? That we all know that like 90% or whatever it is of the iceberg sits below the surface, right? And it's only 10% that sits up here. Just if you don't believe me, just ask the Titanic. This is the concept that I want envisioned. Before I lived in the house I'm living in now, and the neighborhood I was in, the guy up the street was a financial advisor. And so when we moved in, he came over, super nice, doing the normal financial advisor thing of, hey, I should, without saying it, he's saying, hey, I should manage your money. And I just chuckled to him because I was already doing Cashflow tactic stuff. And I was like, I should tell you what to do, but we're friends. I don't need to go there. And so the first thing he did is he talked about where he went to school and what institution he works with. Then the next time the conversation came up, he talked about the letters he has after his name and how smart he is. This is all feeling very familiar, right, of how financial advisors do it. Then the last one, his final attempt was name dropping of the people he manages money for. And he had quite a Rolodex of very wealthy people. And so I wanted the conversation to end so we could just be friends and not have to, I just wanted this to be done. So I asked him a question. I said, hey, this sounds like you're really successful. You're really good at what you do. But I just have one thing I need you to help me with. You spoke about the names of these people that you manage their money. If you cannot tell me what they do with their money today, but if you can tell me what these people and help do for me what these people did to create their wealth in the first place, I will give you all of my money. What do you think his response was?
I don't know.
The topic of money never came up again because he doesn't know. All he does is manage the 10% that sits above the surface. He has no knowledge or insight into the 90% of what went into creating the wealth in the first place. Those are the only things that we teach. Eventually, when you're financially free, you can do whatever you want with your money. You can burn it. You can flush it down the toilet. You can go to Vegas. I don't care. Because we've set the foundation of the 90% of creating it in the first place. This is when you can do Bitcoin or IPOs or bet on the next Apple or whatever, because it doesn't matter. And those people that are having success in that world are all, the thing you don't understand about them is they are already financially independent in the first place. The dudes on Shark Tank, don't try to be Shark Tank if you still have a 9-to-5 and you got like 50 grand to your name. Those guys can do Shark Tank because they can miss on 4 out of 5 of them because their wealth is totally independent of that. So we create the financial independence even from your investment opportunities that come along. Then you can go do all those fun and exciting things, and that's great. We are teaching the 90%, and this is where the patterns come and the repeatability and the systematization comes, because everybody that created financial independence before, again, the age of 65 or in that model did it using these rules, the 90%.
Gotcha. So we're just seeing the 10% and being like, oh, they're investing in index funds. And they're like, oh, I should go do that. No.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they have the money that's coming in already. And this is what
They've created the 90%,
Right.
not by investing in index funds.
Like Tony Robbins' book, Money Master the Game, to me is one of the most damaging financial books printed, period. And here's why. He wrote 6 chapters of amazing personal development, Tony Robbins-ness, melded in with the conversation of money. And it was amazing. But then he went and interviewed all these billionaires. Do you remember how the book was formatted? Where he was like, I'm going to share my conversations with all these billionaires.
Yeah.
All he asked them is, what are you doing with your money now?
Mm.
Well, do you have $1 billion? Do you run $1 billion hedge fund? Are you a multi, $100 million endowment fund? No. So none of what he told you applies to you in any way. And then it was just a push right back into the traditional 40-year plan. It totally contradicted the first 6 chapters. And it was more damaging because of that. He only looked at what was sitting above the surface and did not address what he himself did to create wealth. Tony didn't put money in a 401k or an index fund and wait around for 40 years and stay at his job. Yeah, that's the advice he gave you.
And that was one of the big influences for us, Brad. I told you I read his like Cliff Notes version, Unshakable, to that book, that specific book. And his whole thing was like, get out of mutual funds, get into index funds, put all your money in that. That's gonna, that follows, that's followed the path of market for blah, 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 blah. And that's how you build your wealth, compounding and blah, blah, blah. But to your point, he did not, he didn't say how he made the money or how all of these wealthy people made their money in the first place. And then they're able to like, okay, I can invest in index funds. I can invest in this because it's money to play with almost,
Yep.
Fascinating.
So good, man. Thank you for breaking that down.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. So I'll leave your entrepreneur audience with this. 3 greatest investments you can make. You guys ready? This is like the tactical. Get out your pen and pencil.
Yes.
Now, these are the 3 best places you can invest. Your greatest investment is in you, first and foremost. And the ways you do that is you expand your skill set, your mindset, and your network. That is the best place that you can ever put your money, and you should design a system and have permission to do that. I would rather you go and work to increase those 3 things first and foremost. The second is your own business. You are your greatest investment. Your greatest asset is your business. And you grow your business through sales and marketing, systems and processes, and the people that you invest in. Your greatest asset, your business is your greatest investment. With those 3 things underneath it, we should create some graphic for this. If I was a good marketer, I'd create a graphic, and eventually we will. And then the last one is you need to create the right system to keep the money that you make and grow that money. And again, solve that cash flow exceeding expenses. So your business and your money system are the things. I know that wasn't what people were looking for. They were looking for like a ticker symbol to write down. But honestly, I want to give everybody permission that stop giving your money to other people who know less than you. Yeah. If you own a business and you can make money, you have a skill set that no one on Wall Street has. Your financial advisor can't do that. He has a job. He waits for a paycheck. He doesn't create money. You do. You're already smarter than all of them. So double down on that. Invest in yourself and grow the business. That's what's going to create wealth. Then we just set up and operate a system that helps keep it and grow it while following the core 4, reducing risk.
It's awesome.
So good. All right, Brad, we're going to do lightning round with you.
Sweet.
This is speed round. We got 8 questions. We're going to go back and forth. We'll go 2 and 2.
All right, you just have to fill in the blank. My favorite food is?
Oh, this is the worst question. I don't like food. Food is a necessity. Like just sitting here, I'm getting lightheaded because I just realized I've not yet eaten today. So that was a bad question for me. I don't have one.
Right on. All right. The book everyone must read is?
Oh my gosh. These are good ones. Rich Dad Poor Dad, for a financial, like to get out of like doing that. But the book I'm currently geeking out on that I think may stay there a long time is Principles by Ray Dalio.
Oh, cool.
That's a big one. Okay, next one. I feel most alive when
I'm doing what I'm fulfilling my purpose, when I'm in my element. That's either, and across those 4 areas. So it has to do with being in my element, but where I like doing that the most is being a father to my kids.
money is
A tool.
My number one passion in life is
Money.
money.
Truth. And then it's manifest through money for sure. That's definitely my passion.
Right on. We've touched on this one, but freedom means
Control.
beautiful. God/source is
Everything is purpose. If there was one thing I could share with people, is like the most important truth in my life is that I'm a son of God, and that drives every decision I make everywhere else.
And the last one, Brad, last one. When people remember me, they'll say,
He blew my mind. No, like that he was. I know what Brad stands for. I know. I'm not even more than I know who he is or his accomplishments or anything. I know what he stands for, and he stood in that truth.
So how can people find you?
Oh man, we need to be better at this. We have a small YouTube channel. You can go there. We're going to be launching a podcast. We have that, those wheels of motion. So look for that. So YouTube's a great place. Cashflowtactics.com is always being updated as well. That's a good place to find us. We're also on all the social platforms. So Facebook is probably one of the better places as well to just continue consuming the content that we have. That's what we want people to do. And then in the consumption of that, you'll find ways to reach out and work with us. The academy that you guys have talked about is usually the best place to start.
Gotcha. And through all those platforms, it's all Cashflow Tactics.
Cashflow Tactics, yep.
Cool.
Cashflow, one word, tactics is the best place to look us up.
Awesome.
well, like in true fashion, Brad, you've blown our minds again, and we've heard a lot of this information already, but I'm sure you've blown minds of all the listeners too. And so we want to thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, opening up a whole new reality for people, man, and doing the work that you're called to do and doing it so well. And it's awesome, and we're super, super humbled and inspired that you're here and that we're a part of your group, and it's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Can I give some to your audience?
Yeah. Yes, please.
So I get to interact at super high level with some very unique people. So Stephen Larson being one of them, Russell Brunson being another one of some of those guys, and they ask us to come and teach and train them. We always record those, but we're never allowed to sell them, right? Nobody said we couldn't give them away. So Stephen said you can have recordings of this, but you can't sell it. We didn't say we couldn't give it away. So the last presentation we did in front of 600 entrepreneurs at Offermind was literally, I think, one of the best presentations we've ever given. So I want to give that as a gift to everybody that's been listening. So how can we deliver that to them? Because I've got the recording, but how do we get that out to them?
Here's how you do it. So if you want the recording of Brad delivering this amazing speech on everything we've talked about and more, go join Yoga Entrepreneur Secrets Facebook page. If you join, there'll be an option on the third question to enter your email. And if you enter that email, you join, you're accepted, you'll immediately get an email with the link to that whole presentation.
Sweet. And we can host it in the Facebook group or a link or however you guys want to get it out. I would love everybody to see that because again, especially for the entrepreneur, it speaks to what we do probably better than anything. And like I said, it was a very unique presentation because we were invited to speak to just this group and nobody else got to see it. And it's not found anywhere else. So go get that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Basically tailor-made for you. If you're listening to this presentation was designed and put together for the entrepreneur. Yeah. So go to Yoga Entrepreneur Secrets Facebook page and become a member and you will get that and it'll be in your email.
Thank you, Brad. It's awesome.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, do that. Hold on. We'll just mix that up. You got to finish it right.
Yeah, we'll take us out.
Yeah.
All right. So That was awesome. Thank you all so much for listening. And remember, do the work, honor the struggle, and make the world a better place. We'll see you soon, guys. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right.
So thank you, brother.
Good stuff.
Dude, it was rocking.
Yes. Thanks so much for listening to Yoga Entrepreneur Secrets. Do you have a question that you'd like us to answer raw and uncut on the podcast?
If you want your questions answered, all you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do 3 simple things.
1, rate and review, telling us what you think of the podcast. 2, in that review, ask anything you want related to yoga. And 3, if you want a shout out, leave your Instagram handle or name. And that's it.
Then listen in to hear your question answered live, raw, and uncut.
Join us next time on Yoga Entrepreneur Secrets Podcast.
Thanks.